I want you to want, what I want you to feel. But it's like no matter what I do, I can't convince you to just believe this is real. So let go, watching you turn your back like you always do. Face away and pretend that I'm not, but I'll be here cause you're all that I got. I can't feel the way I did before. Don't turn your back on me, I won't be ignored. Time won't take this damage anymore. Don't turn your back on me, I won't be ignored. A little bit insecure, a little unconfident, cause you don't understand to do what I can, but sometimes I don't make sense. I am what you never want to say, but I've never had a doubt. It's like no matter what I do, I can't convince you for once just to hear me out. So let go, watching you turn your back like you always do. Face away and pretend that I'm not, but I'll be here cause you're all that I got.
It's showtime.
Okay guys, welcome back. I am your host, Kix, your caster and your tournament organizer for the STPL, and joining with me is my fellow co-caster for today and many other days as well. It is Rapid Casting.
That's me. Welcome to everybody. If you just missed that last game, well, I don't know. It was DTs and they won a game, so whatever you can say about that. But go back and watch the first series of the day. It was actually incredibly entertaining. So hopefully the rest of our games will be kind of cool like that. It's always cool to see rare occurrences happen in Brood War, and we had quite a few of them. So I won't spoil anything. But go back and watch those games, or just keep watching because there's a lot more to come.
There is. Now we're going into the third game of this series, and let's have a look at who is going to be our players. Okay, so on the left-hand side of your screen, we're going to have for iRk in the white shirt. It's going to be Whistler. Now Whistler, a very strong player for his team. He played 5 games last round. This is his debut game of round 2, but he did go 3 wins, 2 losses last time. And he is going to be up against the new player for ReV. I did mention him before. He's one of the most generous donators for the Brood War scene at the moment. He's an incredibly kind guy as well. Really nice to hang around with. But basically should be a lot of fun with him around. So he's going to be looking to put on a little bit of hurt here against Whistler.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much more to say about these two players exactly, just because they don't have any stats for this season. So just see how they do.
And what map are they going to be playing on, Rapid?
What map are they going to be playing on? Well, Kix. This is going to be Troy, our most popular, or I think the map I see played most often. Not only because it's the third map and so it always gets played, but also because, I don't know, maybe some maps stick in my mind a little bit more. It is a really cool mechanic, the assimilators that you destroy in order to limit the size of the units that are able to pass through it. So, I mean, we always talk about that once we get into the game, but it's cool. It's the second time we've seen it today.
It is indeed. Now let's do as you say, let's get into the game. Let's start with our third game of the series. And speaking of the game, we're now over on the game screen in our top right hand side. Starting us off in the orange is going to be fighting for iRk. It's Whistler in the 2 o'clock position.
Yep, and his opponent in the, what is that, a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? That's 8 o'clock. 7:30 location, the yellow is Caspas from ReV.
Yeah, it's always very awkward trying to work out the clock positions because all the maps are square, so makes it kind of awkward, but I always say this is about 7 or 8 o'clock. I think I'll put 7 on the overlay, that's fine.
Yeah, everybody knows time comes in circles. That's why clocks are round.
You know what, I've noticed a very big problem. So if the top is 2 o'clock by my standing, this should definitely be the 8 o'clock position. I didn't think this one through. But we look like we've got Caspas, knowing the power of the map, knowing the power of Ling's, going to build his wall outside the front of his base, and not willing to risk getting locked in.
Yeah, anytime you play like a Zerg on this map, just because they can get Zerglings out so quickly, especially if they go an aggressive build, they don't always have to kill you with the aggressive build. They can just kill your assimilators, and it's like, well, you know, what do I do? But that occasion would be probably a rarity, just because I think you're going to be okay by just putting the pylon and starting your wall at your natural expansion. So I only mention that because we've seen such like super ultra crazy wacky things happening.
Yeah.
So that is the worst case scenario, right? You get rushed, you get pushed into your main, they kill the assimilators, and you're like, well, what do I do now? It should also be noted that this type of map is called a reverse semi-island map. So an island map is one where, you know, there are islands, right? A semi-island map is one where you start on an island, but then you can break your way out onto a map and open the map up as the game goes on. But this is a reverse semi-island map because instead of opening the map up, you close the map off as the game goes on by killing these assimilators.
You do, and there's also actually island bases on this map as well. I just showed one off there, just to the left and right of the mains, a little island base with a decent-sized gas, a really good third base to take if you get drops early on. Now, we did see a very early spawning pool coming in from Whistler. He's going to use this to try and stop this cannon rush on his natural hatchery, but does he have enough lings? I think he may do.
No, he actually does not have enough lings to, or, you know, he does have enough lings because he didn't wall off with the pylon. So the idea is that you're supposed to block off one of your cannons with a pylon wall, but you do need terrain to do that, and he didn't build this in a spot where you can do that. So unfortunately, it's a total failure, and is going to waste a lot of resources trying to do something that didn't ultimately wind up working. So it's a nice try, but yeah, unless you can wall off a cannon with pylons, that's not gonna cut it.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing it did I did force out a couple of extra lings. Back at home, he does only have the one cannon. Of course, it did delay his Nexus to do that. And behind this, Whistler is going to take a very quick third base.
Yeah, I don't blame it at all. Anytime you stop a cannon rush, you're always going to feel really good about that. And unless there's, you know, round 2 and it's ultra crazy, there's a StarCraft 2 player named Haz that is what I'm talking about here. But basically, nobody expects, you know, the 18th rush, right? You know, you stop 17 in a row and you're like, wow, you know, I'm just pretty okay. But unless you feel like you're playing against a player that is just gonna cheese you a million times in the same game, yeah, go for the third base early, because you've already stopped the Protoss player and he's already gonna have to go back, and make sure he doesn't die to something like counter aggression.
Yeah, and this is a style that was popularized by he who shall not be named, Savior.
Yeah.
Back in the day, this was his main style. He used it against a lot of Protosses to great effect. Odd maps such as Troy, I don't think he actually played on Troy. Maybe he played on Troy, it was 2008. Maybe that was just after the scandal. It's really hard to remember every single day, but still a very good map for it. You can take that extra natural, it does give you the access to the extra main, and that guarantees you a force base a little bit later on, because it's really hard to actually stop a Protoss player sending a single Zealot over and just locking you away from those other mains, which is what you really do want to take as the Zerg player here. Looks like we do finally have that probe taken out. That probe is not going to be able to cannon rush. Would have been. There's actually a really nice cannonable position behind these minerals. You can actually block that with 2 pylons either side and put the cannons at the back, but doesn't quite manage to get that. And that was one thing that he was missing in Whistler's natural. So one of those little positional imbalances, well, not imbalances, but positional differences coming into play there, and actually really helping out Whistler in this game.
Definitely does help him. I think the biggest thing that helped him was that canceled cannon rush. It's like, okay, well, whenever that doesn't work out, you're going to be able to get an advantage if you capitalize on it. I think he did a great job doing that. So third base is up already for the Zerg player. I think he actually even has what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. I only see 4 hatches. Is this 4 hatch?
It's 4 hatches.
Hydra?
He's adding on a lot of Hydros as well. He does have a decent number of Lings though. It's not going to be the 973 that I know Cadenzi especially likes a lot. I don't know how much she's done it since she's moved to Korea, but that was one of her major builds.
Many times. Every other game.
Yeah, so 973, very, very popular of a 3-hatch style. But this, of course, 4 hatcheries. Going to be a little bit harder for Caspas to hold on to. Let's have a look at what tech he's gone for. He did go for the Stargate first. So his Templar Archives is going to be very, very late here. And this could be a very big problem for him.
This was almost game over. If it was a 5-hatch Hydra and you were like really going into it, then it'd be, I think, even more game over. But anytime you build a Stargate and you're facing off against like massive Hydra numbers, that's gonna feel pretty bad because it's a lot of resources invested in not building cannons and anything to stop these Hydras from busting your walls. And so already you can see some cannons start to come up, but there's only one pylon powering all of that. So. Yeah, I don't know about this. He also got Hydra speed done a while ago, so he's going to have speed and range.
Oh, and here they come. Oh, this is going to be so bad. Whistler is breaking up the ramp. Caspas is doing the best he can to hold. The cannons are not going to finish again, though. That seems like a very common trait in this game so far. And with all the probes going down, I don't know how Caspas is going to hold on. Now, one option he does have, and it's a very rare and very interesting option, is to try and lock himself in his base. But he doesn't have enough. He doesn't even have any units to do that. And GG! And Whistler, in a very, very quick game, is going to take iRk up to a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, it's